So 2022 is coming to a close, and as with every year, we have the awards season upon us. Now I want to offer my thoughts on the best games of the last year. So welcome everybody, my name is Doragon and these are my 5 best games of 2022. Now before I start the countdown, I want to address that this list likely won't match up to your list or publications and events lists. Ranking lists are personal, and the idea of what a best in class for anything is totally subjective. If you take cars for example, I would rank the Kia Rio above the BMW 7 Series, because I can afford to buy and use the Rio. Therefore it is a subjectively better car for me than the BMW 7 Series, because it gets me around in comfort and ease for a great and competitive price and running cost. Whereas the 7 Series won't even make it to my driveway due to financial flow. This list of my 5 best games for the year is going to be similar. There are going to be some big omissions for people on this list because those games simply didn't speak to me, or their technical ability or bugs prevented me from ranking them in my top 5 gaming experiences this year. So what will make the list? Essentially, it's how a game made me feel. Do I still think about it long after finishing the story? Is the gameplay so good that I keep wanting to go back to it? Is there a long-term character chase that makes me want to play more? These are considered questions, and there is much more involved, such as performance, bugs, music, technology usage, and so on. So without further ado, let's get into my top 5 games of 2022.
Number 5. Horizon Forbidden West. Released in the slew of games that we got in February 2022, Forbidden West got overlooked by many because of Elden Ring, but there is a lot to like about this game. From great voice acting and motion capture to emotional story beats and an unbelievably beautiful world. Forbidden West gave me an overall excellent experience in my time with the game. But it was buggy at launch with horrific pop-in, and despite being developed for the PlayStation 5 console, felt overly similar to its 2017 PS4 predecessor. The movements, animations, restrictions and design didn't feel like next gen when compared to its 2021 counterparts such as Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart and Returnal. That being said, I still thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. It's let down mostly for me by being the middle entry in a trilogy. The final part will kind of dictate how good this one is, but with a 4 to 5 year development cycle for a new entry in the series, it's going to be a long time before that final puzzle piece is in place. This is a great open world action RPG game with a superb graphical and technical showpiece for the PS5. This is still worth any gamer's time. Just be aware of the provisos going into it. Number 4. F1 Manager 2022. Sports management games outside of football have been few and far between in the last decade or so. So with the masters of the management sim Frontier Development helming the first F1 Manager game in many years, this one stood a chance, and it mostly delivers. Frontier made the right call to have what is in the game work really well and build upon that for future entries. You can do everything from hiring a driver or engineer to focusing development on next year's car. You can choose race strategies, train up pit crews, and dish out team orders on the fly, all the while answering to the team's board of directors to achieve their expectations. For what I would call a generally simplistic first entry, it actually has a lot of depth to it, and I still enjoy playing it months after launch. I'm yet to win the championship with McLaren, but I'm getting closer, and that carrot on the stick keeps me coming back for more. Number 3. Destiny 2. Witch Queen. Alright, I know this is an expansion, but it costs the same and takes the same commitment as any full game release. It's like an annual Call of Duty entry in that regard, so I'm adding it. Witch Queen is a stunning first-person shooter campaign. Narrative threads that have been laid down for the last 8 years come to fruition. Lore gaps are filled in, and the antagonist is a fantastic example of how to do characterization in an FPS extremely well. And then, there is the gameplay. Destiny 2 has been the pinnacle shooter in terms of gunplay for years, but coupled with updated abilities, a tough, challenging campaign, and an option for an even tougher challenge on Legendary mode, you end up using every tool at your disposal, and it is a rewarding experience doing so. kicking off a year of strong storytelling, excellent raids and dungeons, and updates to all of the old subclasses, Witch Queen, despite some fatigue as is expected in live service games, has been a great year for Bungie's space opera, and I still thoroughly enjoy my time with it. Truly deserving of a top 5 finish. Number 2. Stray. Unfortunately, the only indie release to make my list this year, but it strikes high at number 2. Stray was a beautiful and emotional experience. Limited combat meant this game had tension that was created by simply being a cat. From intense chase scenes to heartwarming interactions with sentient beings, Stray knew how to keep you emotionally invested at all times. At the 4.5 hour mark for the full story content, it has no real right to still feel this relevant 6 months later. But it hit hard, has an amazing look at the human condition, and leaves you emotionally drained in a positive way. A totally different experience from anything else released this year, Stray delivered on its promise and didn't overstay its welcome. A phenomenal first entry from Blue 12, and I cannot wait to see what else this studio do. Number 1. God of War. Ragnarok. I was unsure if the team at Santa Monica could top 2018. But saying that, I didn't think 2018 could top 3. And here we are with Ragnarok as my game of the year for 2022. Ragnarok takes the title for me because it is complete and cohesive straight out of the box. This is a full game at launch. I don't need to wait 18 months for a patch to make it playable, or 6 months for additional promised content that may just get outright cancelled. There's no waiting for DLC to finish the story 2 years later, or season passes with supposed additional story down the line. No. Ragnarok, at launch, as it comes, is complete. And man does that feel good. Every aspect of the game delivers, from visuals to gameplay, narrative to performance, music and sound effects to next-gen technology. It is a simply exceptional experience start to finish. It is balanced well too. Never do you feel bored playing the game. Never does it become stale. It knows exactly how long to stick around for the experience to remain rewarding. Playing on preconceptions, expectations, and societal knowledge, it delivers an incredibly satisfying conclusion to the Norse saga. It hits emotions that God of War has rarely focused on previously, and stays with you long after the console is turned off. Add in that it was a near flawless technical experience start to finish, and nothing else released in 2022 left such a big impression upon me. It is the closest thing to a perfect game that I have ever played, and as such, it takes my personal Game of the Year title for 2022. But what about yourself? What is your personal Game of the Year? Or even your top 5? Go on, let me know in the comments section below. And for more from me, here is last year's awards video. And until next time guys, have yourselves a fantastic day. And take care.